Hello and welcome to Game On, a podcast celebrating San Antonio Sports' 40th anniversary. I'm Mary Ullmann Japhet, a board member at San Antonio Sports.
And I'm Jenny Carnes, President and CEO of San Antonio Sports.
We can't talk about sports in San Antonio without talking about our NBA team, the San Antonio Spurs. We all love the Spurs. But joining us today are two people you won't necessarily see on the court, but I can assure you they are definitely a part of the team. Joining us today are Liberty Swift, Spurs Sports and Entertainment Senior Director of Corporate Communications, and Frank Miceli, Chief Commercial Officer, and until very recently, a terrific board member of San Antonio Sports, and he's assured us that you're still at the end of the phone whenever we call.
Anytime.
We appreciate that very much. So why don't we just have you guys just tell us a little bit about your own tenure with the Spurs? How'd you come to the team?
I'll go first because I'll be a lot briefer than Frank. I'm about to be on my fourth year. So I moved here from Dallas, but I'm a San Antonio native. I grew up here. I went to Edison High School. So excited to be back. I moved away for 20 years, but I've always come back to visit, always been a Spurs fan. Even when I lived in Dallas, I went to Mavs games, and you would even see me on TV with my Spurs posters, always supporting and for the Spurs. So I've done corporate communications for a long time, and I was so blessed when Tom James, which I know some of you know, considered me for the position and brought me back. And there is no other organization that I've ever worked for like the Spurs. Like, people talk about it being like family, and it's been amazing. The work is hard and it's fun. It becomes your life, but this is a community. People care about you, and how fun that your job is also supporting the San Antonio Spurs, and you get to go to games, support the team members, be a part of that organization that cares so much about community as part of your day-to-day job.
That's terrific. And Frank, how about you?
Well, I'm very honored to say this past Monday, I celebrated my 17th anniversary, which is hard to believe.
Congratulations.
Right?
Yeah.
In 16 years a board member, Susan Blackwood showed up on my second day of work, honest to God. And
as she would.
Yeah, right? Yeah, for sure. And it's been an incredible experience. I got to learn so much about the city of San Antonio from all the other board members. But 17 years here, essentially the business side primarily. Revenue is kind of my area of expertise. And that's after 23 plus years in Philadelphia, my hometown, with the Philadelphia Flyers and Sixers. And, if anybody would have asked me 17 years ago, do you see yourself in San Antonio? I was kind of local boy makes good in Philadelphia, my home team. But when I came for the visits here, there were a couple things that struck me about this organization that really, truly resonated with me. And I don't want to sound like a shill, but all the things I had read about the organization, Liberty referred to it, the family friendly, the people, they truly care about their employees, all of that. Well, that showed up in spades in the, they flew me here 4 times for 8-hour interviews. But the people that I would interact with, the other leadership team people, it was amazing the tenure every one of them had. Every one, when you go back, Lawrence Payne was here 44 years, and Lori Warren is here 35 years, and Rick Pitch at the time, our CEO, had been here 30-some years. And 2 things struck me. The first one was, this must be an incredible place to work. Because in this industry, like everywhere, other industries, headhunters call you when you get to a certain level and it's flattering and all that. And none of these people left. That was number one. So it must be really good place to work. And the second thing was, all these people must be really tactically good at whatever it is they're tasked to do day to day. Because when you go through the ownership changes that the Spurs had gone through, in this industry, quite often people have to sort of become nomads to get growth. You have to leave your hometown, and yet all the other people who were on that leadership team were locally grown. I was kind of the first outsider that had come in. And then when I went through the exercise of all the interviews and got to meet all the Holt family, starting with Peter M. and then Juliana and then Peter and Corinna, everything you read and hear, again, not sounding like a shill, it's all true.
Yeah.
Like it starts at the top, and the whole family and the other owners and investors that were the local group are so supportive and just really, really good people. And it makes it, you give up a lot of your life, you sacrifice a great deal in this industry, but they make it a really, really fun place to work.
Yeah. There's a reason David, Timmy, and Manu have stuck around, and it's probably the same reasons you've got.
I would think so, man.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, so before we get into like favorite moments and all that sort of stuff, the team has really evolved. I mean, it came here in '73. It was an ABA team, then became the NBA team, and we got ice and all those things. That was well before both you guys were here. And it has grown. The Spurs team seems to have grown up as the city's grown up. I mean, we're
That's a great way to put it.
top 6, top 7 city, in size these days. How have you seen the impact of the team on the city?
Yeah, it was one of the things that struck me. So, working for the Sixers when I was in Philadelphia, I admired this organization from afar. I kept wondering, how is this smaller market team? They were going to the Western Conference Finals every other year, winning championships. And then, from the business side, I was privy to all the league reports. And I would see the league reports, and in any category that mattered, the Spurs were top 10 in everything. And it was really, really beguiling to me when you look at this and say, how are they doing it? Like, what's the magic there? What's happening? And I think when you go back to 1973, the Dallas Chaparrals coming, George Gervin, getting him from the Virginia Squires was a huge first step. It was, you have the first pro sports team in San Antonio. You end up getting a true superstar. George Gervin was a superstar.
Still is in my book.
Yeah, mine too.
Absolutely.
Mine
I love
too.
ice.
He does an awful lot for the organization still to this day.
Yeah.
But having a guy like him really helped put San Antonio on the map. Sure. He was a human highlight reel before all the other great players, before ESPN, all those things. And everyone knew him. He, the man was a scoring machine. And then you follow that with David Robinson. Does it get any better than David, right? We all know him. He's such a community pillar. And then that gets followed up with Tim Duncan, and then Manu Ginobili, and then Tony Parker. And now, we've been fortunate enough to the basketball gods smile on us with Victor. And so, but to your point earlier, Mayor, all of these people are still in San Antonio, all of them.
Yeah.
Tony does a 6-month deal over in France, but he still kept his home here. He was just here recently for 10 days and, attended a home opener with us, with his family. It was so great. Manu was in the house with his 2 children. It was just great to see all of these people back here supporting this team that they helped build. And so I think they mirror a lot of this city. The vibrancy, the resilience, the strength, the pride, all those things I think come through in our players. And again, I think that happens organically from the people that started it, George Gervin and David. And, you get into this family, any new of our star players, they all get to meet these people. All those guys still go to our new practice facility to meet the new team, to, imbue their wisdom to them, how to be a pro, all those things. That's such a unique situation in any sport, let alone the NBA.
Yeah.
That picture of Victor with the legends right after he moved here was just one of the greatest photos I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm thinking now as a mom, it's like, okay, he's with the uncles. It'll all be fine.
He'll be okay. He's taken care of. Yeah.
And who better to give a 19-year-old, who's walking in as the new face of the NBA, 7'4", all eyes are upon this kid, and he's a kid. And then you have people like Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Pop, all these people like giving him the advice. Again, if I think Victor said it best. I think I could not have been in a better place than San Antonio.
That's
and
great.
Hey, thus far it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah, so
Rookie of
far
the
so
year.
good.
I want to circle back, though, to what you said about us growing up together. I think that, for me, especially as a San Antonio native, has just been probably what's even more special, because there is such a commitment from the team, the organization, to the city, and coming up together. We have a vision and a commitment for the community as well. And you hear that if you talk to Peter Holt, You hear that from him. He has such a heart and a passion for the community, the work we're doing, the organization, the way we give back to our youth sports and all the nonprofits in the community. We have a vision for San Antonio to be better and greater. But I think what I really love and what I see is we haven't lost sight of who we are as an organization, our humble beginnings. And I think San Antonio too, like what makes us so different is that we're growing up as a city, but we're not losing sight of who we are, our culture, our rich history. It's what makes us different than Dallas, what makes us different than Houston, what makes us different than Austin is that our roots are still within vision for us.
Well said.
Yeah, very well said. The commitment has always been there, but it seems like the Spurs have really doubled down, in recent years on community impact. And a lot of what y'all are doing kind of mirrors what San Antonio Sports has been doing over the last 40 years. And let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, I'm school parks and the kids programs and so many other things I probably don't even know about.
Yeah, there is a lot that we're constantly doing, and a lot of kids that we affect every year through things like the Youth Sports Basketball League that Coach Pop started 35 years ago himself. But this is the anniversary of it, so there's a lot of activations going on around that. A program we called Play SA, where we're renovating parks in the community, not just basketball courts, but like skate parks, wherever our kids want to be. Community Leadership Institute. It's not just about the students, but the people influencing their lives. Like how do we make sure we're continuing to build leaders and legacies? There's a lot that goes on to that, but I think Frank can speak more too about the history and how a lot of that started.
Yeah, Jenny, I couldn't agree more with you. Like with your double down comment, and a lot of the credit has to go to our ownership group and RC when it became CEO. We're the only NBA team with a chief impact officer, and I know Kara Allen, who came in as our chief impact officer, and is the other part to that that's really important, and is also a member of our leadership team. So having that position, have a seat at that table, is probably the most critical part, where whatever's being discussed from business, revenue, tickets and suites and the basketball team and all that, having that voice to also say, hey, and let's not forget about one of our strategic pillars, which is community and societal impact. And having that voice as the reminder, the leader, over and over, it's just become part of the fabric of every meeting that we have. How is impact being brought into every conversation? Just like basketball would be, just like revenue would be, all those things. And I think of some of the great things that it hasn't gotten the traction yet, and that's probably on us for not doing it. But to me, one of the most exciting things that's happening is, yes, and maybe we'll get to talking about the Rock and the new facility there. But the really important part is what we are doing with the former practice facility. And Kara had this vision, where better can you say that there was a place where leaders and legacies were built and fostered, was that practice facility. 5 championships of guys that, worked under the same Hall of Fame head coach and all these Hall of Fame players. And that same building is now going to be turned into an impact center for the community of San Antonio. And Kara has a vision for it. And we have a lot of work to do. There's still a great deal of work that needs to be done there. But to me, that's one of the most exciting things that our organization is doing, in addition to all the other things that we all know we do that Liberty just referred to in the community. This is going to take it to a whole new level. And it's really, really exciting.
And I'm going to toot the horn of some of your colleagues at Spurs Sports and Entertainment. I moderated a panel during San Antonio Startup Week with your business innovation team.
Charlie?
I mean, Charlie he's fantastic, and his team are terrific. But it was really exciting. And, again, as a Spurs fan, a point of pride that it's our Spurs team that is leading the NBA in innovation. And I mean, we've always been a little ahead of the curve. We were the first one to really go international and bring some international stars over. But now they're using technology and inviting startups to be a part of a kind of a beta test on an accelerator right now. So that's exciting. Do you guys come in contact with that at all in your office?
We do.
Yeah.
Actually, just interesting story. We are really going deep into AI right now. Charlie is leading that with Jordan Colosi, who I think you both know. And yesterday, just as a test, they sent us all this stuff to sign up for, blah, blah, blah. I haven't done it yet. I just called Charlie
They
and
called
said,
him out on it.
I just called Charlie and say, hey, I have an idea. I want to see how well this works. And I said, if I looked at, could AI tell me, give me the top 20 companies in Asia that would be a great partner for SS&E? And he put something in, and 36 seconds later, I got a list of 15 companies with little blurbs under it of what they are, what they're about, how many employees they have worldwide, what their real business is. And then I said, yeah, could it be refined to any of these people that are already spending money in sports partnerships around the world? He types in something. 16 seconds later, 7 of those 15, they spit out. Dwayne Wade is a spokesperson for this company. This company's doing business in women's volleyball. This one's doing business in Premier League soccer. It was amazing. And so I'm a good test because I'm not very good at putting in all the attributes myself, but I can ask a lot of the good questions. So we as an organization are going very, very deep into the AI world. And Charlie is the leader of that and has done an incredible job with bringing in new innovative technologies that we're going to be
enhance the fan experience. I know that's a real focus for them. It's really pretty cool. Well, because we're talking about SS&E, maybe we should tell folks we all know you as the Spurs, but the company is Spurs Sports and Entertainment. So tell us a little bit about how that works and what comes under that umbrella.
I'll let Frank take
okay. So it's our bigger commitment to the community when you look at it. So everyone knows us as the Spurs. That's wonderful, and that will stay that way forever and a day. However, we also operate venues and other teams. Bringing concerts to this community has, when you look back, the team that does that, Casey Heverling and Mindy Core, which, by the way, Mindy Core, one of only 2 female GMs in the world of sports.
I did not know that.
Yeah, wow. Really, really incredible. Great journey the lady has had, and she's doing a great job for us. But that team, San Antonio, from a lot of the concert promoters, when you go back 14, 15 years, I wouldn't necessarily say we were a must-play market. Mm-hmm. And so we had to prove to all these promoters that both our building had the right stuff to bring in these things and that we could sell out. Because that's what it's really all about for the promoter and the act. They want to just go where there's an easy sellout. So we had to work our way to that point, and really happy to say that we've gotten to the point where every major act that comes through our building is in consideration, high consideration, and we've gotten the acts. Recently we had Luke Bryant come, 2 back-to-back shows. To this day, the history of the Frost Bank Center, they were the 2 highest attended acts in the history of the building, going back to 2002. Back-to-back nights. And no one else in the region got Luke Bryant. So kudos to our staff for doing that. So we think about bringing, and when you look at, if you go down the list of all the acts we got, yes, Justin Timberlake is great, and Ariana Grande is great. They're great. They're wonderful, and people love them. But we've also found a niche in bringing some of the great Hispanic acts out of Mexico here that may not play in cities like Philadelphia or some other northern cities, but to the demographic here, it means a great deal. And our team has done an incredible job. And it's not just with musicians, it's with comedians and family acts. And it's been really wonderful to have that be part of the other events that we can bring here. In addition to that, you look at Toyota Field and bringing in SAFC. Yeah. And by the way, Gordon Hartman deserves an awful lot of credit for starting that. He got it started. He designed that building, and it's arguably one of the top 3 buildings in the whole USL. And so, we've done some enhancements to it, and we've taken it to a new level, and our team won a championship, which is great for the city, for people who are soccer fans. Yeah. And so when you look at adding venues, adding teams from that standpoint, bringing in all these type of acts, this coming up in right after Thanksgiving, Toyota Field is going to be turned into a winter wonderland. There's going to be ice skating out there. Ice.
Fantastic.
Ice tubes. Like a thing you could walk your children through, a maze of lights. And it's a really, really cool thing.
Fun.
We did a light version of it a year ago just to test it. And it went really, really well. And this year we're doing the whole 9 yards. We're bringing out everything. That's going to be really great. And then we have some great winter Wonderland activations happening out at the Frost Plaza, out at the Rocket Lock and Terra as well.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
For the last 4 decades, San Antonio Sports has dared this community to dream big through the transformational power of sport. For 40 years, we've inspired youth to get in the game, motivated San Antonians to live healthy, been a force behind places to play, and hosted events that impact. As we celebrate 40 years of dreaming big, we invite you to dream big along with us. To support our mission, donate today at SanAntonioSports.org.
Well, I have a little bit of a controversial question for you,
Sure.
since we're
Bring
talking
it on.
about all the
Bring it
things
on.
that SS&E has in your portfolio. But with the growth and the expansion and the popularity of the WNBA this summer, is there ever a world where you see bringing a team back or maybe picking up one of the new teams as the league looks to expand?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jenny. And when you go back to, the WNBA, we owned a team for 12 years.
I still miss them.
And there's a lot of people who do. But in that, just as an FYI, in those 12 years, the WNBA was having a really, really tough go of it. They've had this incredible resurgence with, obviously Caitlin Clark at the forefront of that, but many other good young players that have come into the league. And Kathy Engelhardt has done a really great job of moving the league in a different kind of direction, really going after corporate partnerships and adding more revenue into the league. To your question, I think I could give a definite maybe. I just don't
I'll take
know
that.
I don't know the answer because
not a no.
It's not a no.
because,
Yeah.
right, because there's an awful lot of teams that cities that are now looking to say, wow, women's sports could be really powerful. So it's not just basketball. There's lots of other women's soccer is turning into a really great thing. We just had a women's soccer game out at Toyota Field last weekend, which was terrific, like really, really, really well attended. And so, right now, from what I understand, I no longer attend those meetings as our governor for the WNBA. So I don't know all the cities. I kind of just know what I've read. So there are 4 cities that seem to be in line in the WNBA world ahead of us. But that's something that the ownership group and the leadership team would have to discuss long term and say, like, is there a pathway to doing that within the framework of what we've already owned and what we've got and the growth that we've seen with our building, with the increase of how many more concerts and family shows we brought on.
I'll take that answer.
Yeah.
and maybe a little interest in women's volleyball and this new professional league I keep hearing about.
There's a lot. And, when you own a sports team, I would say that there's a lot of people that come knock on your doors with a lot of leagues, whether it's boxing, lacrosse, volleyball, like everything comes at your doorstep. And so as a pro sports team and a kind of a steward of the sports and entertainment venues of San Antonio, we look at everything. Everything that comes our way, we definitely take a look at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about SS&E's new facility out on the northwest side of town, The Rock. It's really cool. Tell us.
It's understated.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of but it's a lot of different things. So can you kind of elaborate on what's out there for somebody who's not seen it? How do you get involved, or where can you go, and what's offered out there?
There's so much to do out there.
Yeah.
Have you been out there yet?
I haven't. So you're talking to me. I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how that's happened, but I'll get there
We
quick.
just had our first watch party of the season.
Yeah, I
so that
heard it was great.
Yeah, it was a huge success. So there was a lot of people out there, but we just opened up also our official Spurs fan shop there as well. So now there's also shopping to do.
Uh-huh.
So there's the Frost Plaza where we have a lot of community events like Frank just talked about, like we're going to have the Winterfest coming up next month. But I think what's really exciting about it, besides the big vision for it to be a huge legacy project for SS&E, was we wanted it to be a point of community. And it's really become that. There's so much to do for community in terms of there's exercise opportunities, there's always festivals, there's music, there's informational sessions, there's educational opportunities. There's a lot to always do in Frost Plaza. So look at our website, follow our social. The park is right next door, which also has our new gun family dog park, which we're continuing to expand and enhance.
I'll have to take my buddy and Carlos out.
Dog park is just gorgeous. It's the largest dog park in San Antonio.
Really?
And when you walk in, I was just saying it looked like it was staged. I'm like, are all these dogs not actors? Because they're so beautiful. They just are having their greatest time ever.
Oh, that's great.
And there's Roca y Marchillo, the new restaurant there as well, which is lovely. Just has fabulous drinks, my favorite part, but a great menu. That we partnered with Jason Dady for that. So everyone in San Antonio loves him. He's a wonderful chef. And then, of course, we have our performance facility there for our players, which is just state of the art. And we're really trying to get ahead in terms of sports performance and advancing what we're doing for our players. And eventually, we'll add a human performance component to that. That's really our ultimate vision. And that'll come in the future.
That's really fascinating to me. I know you guys are partners. I don't know if it's official with Southwest Research, right? You are, right? Around that issue.
And UT Health. So
very
that'll
cool.
be our primary. So hopefully in the coming year, we'll break ground on that part of the campus. But what we would really like to see with the human performance part is that the research and innovation that is learned and studied on that part of the campus for it to expand in the community. We want it to benefit not just the players, but also to focus on some of the just things that are going on, health elements, concerns that are going on in the community. What is important to San Antonio? What's going on in our own community? What can we research? What can we advance? What can we improve on for all things in human performance for our community?
Yeah,
I know. A big win.
I know Swery has long advocated for San Antonio it really already is a hub and a lab for human performance with our military medical facilities, with everything that's happening in the medical center, and now you guys bringing that under a roof is really pretty exciting.
Yeah, R.C. Buford, Phil Cullen, and several others of our team, 6.5 years they scoured the globe. They literally went to everywhere in terms of what's the best player care that you could find anywhere. And when you come for a tour with, you want to bring some of your group from SA Sports, we'd be happy to give you a tour there. You'll see some of the things that they learned, natural wood, natural light in the space, keeping the same, like if you look at the size of the performance center compared to our former practice facility, it's so much bigger, yet where the players actually interact on the court, it's exactly the same size. Because one of the learnings was they didn't want to lose the intimacy of where the players and coaches were actually doing the hard work of practice, that type of thing. And then to what Liberty said, the whole idea is to take the research that we learn with our players and take it out to first responders, policemen, firemen, other people in the community, and then make that, to your point, word hub, that's a really good word for it, a hub for thought leaders around the world to come because of the research that we're going to be doing. And that's going to take a little bit of time to get up and off the ground. But if you look at, remember, it's only been open 1 year, the whole campus.
Yeah.
And this past summer, it was so incredible to see. We have a huge splash pad there, and with the heat that we've had this summer, there were families getting there at 8 a.m, putting out blankets and chairs, and then going back home, getting their children. And then we had our food and beverage kiosks set up all throughout. There's the 40-foot screen that's there running all kinds of great stuff all the time. We just had a Journey cover band play out there, which was great. We had the Spasmatics play a few months back. I mean, we got 3,000 people to come out there, a ticketed event out on the plaza, which was really, really cool. And, Roca and Martillo is, Jason Dady, as you all know, he's like king of San Antonio. It's great. And that restaurant is like my cup of tea. It's really, really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I think we need to plan a San Antonio Sports Activate pop-up fitness class out there.
I think that would be awesome.
That'd be great, yeah.
That would be
I'll call
fantastic.
There you go. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Okay, so you guys tell us in your 4 years, in your 17 years now?
Just starting
17. Do you have a favorite experience either with the team or with the company? I mean, is there something that really resonates?
I don't know how you do that in 17 years. That seems impossible.
There were some championships in there too. So.
Well, for me, there's a couple things that resonate. Winning the championship in 14 after the loss in 13. Again, for those who are hardcore fans, losing in 13 in that game 6 when Ray Allen hit that shot. Devastating.
Yeah.
And what makes it so amazing is, we had an older team at that point, and you would think a loss like that in 2013 would just, boom, game over. These guys will never come back. And when you look at Tim, Tony, Manu, like they had that meeting and they're like, no, we have one more in us. And to come back and play an entire year after that type of loss, it was so special. And by the way, to beat the exact same team that beat, you can't script it any better.
Right.
And we dominated the next year.
Yeah.
We dominated. And then for me, being in this business a really long time, over 40 years, the celebration in San Antonio is like none other. So yes, been part of championship parades and great. They're awesome. On the river, on barges, so special, so amazing. And by the way, we won in 2014 on Father's Day. So to be there with my family, it's a culmination. So that's a really special moment. And then the way I remember a moment where we were able to promote people internally. And when I got the opportunity in front of the whole company to promote Tim Salier into a vice presidency, I will tell you, it's a very, very special moment because you get the opportunity to help others achieve their goals and dreams. And it meant an awful lot to those people. And that still sticks out as a really, really striking moment for me.
That's great.
That's a great one. I love that. Tim's a great guy too. So for me, I think it's a given. Just in my 4 years, it's going to be the Alamo Dome game that we had for our 50th anniversary. Especially as a staff member. As a San Antonio Spurs fan, I share some of the same memories that Frank just shared. But as a staff member, I had not been a part of the championship game because I've only been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
And it gave me a taste of what that had to be like because San Antonio showed up. We broke the NBA attendance record.
Yes, we did.
We had over 68,000 people. When we first put out that idea and we thought, man, what could we do like really special and different for our 50th? And we started talking about, could we fill up the dome? Because when we used to play there, we didn't play in the entire dome.
Right.
You remember?
Yeah.
It was get that big blue curtain. So it was not a full dome. So we started to think about like whether we could actually do it. And little by little, like I remember initially there's just being some like, I don't know, is it possible? And little by little, like it gained traction. The idea internally gained some traction and people were like, yeah, we could do it. We can do it. And we set out there for big plans for our 50th anniversary. The community got behind us. Super special. Like one thing that gave me a flashback for like my youth was we put out the community tickets. We announced the community tickets that we sold in person at the Alamo Dome to kick off that whole anniversary celebration, and people stood in line like the old days. Do you remember that?
I remember that day because we office at the Dome, and the support and how many people showed up. Like they were afraid they weren't going to get a seat in the Dome. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, and that was so fun. Like, and we didn't know. Like, we were like, well, let's find ways because it was so important for us to have that be a community-wide celebration. So
right.
I loved that from the very beginning. It was because we talked about how do we make this game accessible to everybody. It's not just the people who can pay the top dollar for tickets or people who don't have a credit card. We have San Antonio people who don't have a credit card. So we just didn't want to make those value tickets affordable for people who could go online and do that. Not everyone has Wi-Fi. So that was really important to us, to making the game and the tickets accessible to everybody. And that's why we actually did those Alamo Dome in-person tickets. And
that's great.
It was so heartwarming to see that from the excitement and the engagement from the very beginning. And then to be there in person, to hear the support, even the Warriors, how they supported our effort and our organization. It really just shows how much the rest of the NBA supports and respects what we do.
Yeah.
But we unfortunately lost that game. If you were there, you wouldn't know.
No, nobody remembers that.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers that.
Remembers
And
that.
it was also a great warm up for our Final Four that's coming next year. So to do the full stadium in a basketball setup was a great
But
thing.
it was so loud, and fans showed up in all their gear. People decorated their houses again.
Probably gear throughout the years, right? I mean, that's really fun.
We
Yeah.
saw some old jackets, like people brought out their gear they were wearing for decades. So it was just so heartwarming to me as a San Antonio native to see that support.
That's a
again.
really
Great
good
memory.
one.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
for me, it was a great night, and that's a really great memory. The collaboration that it took, every single department had to contribute on
Every
this,
department.
like every department to make that work. In addition to, liaising with the
With
Dome
city,
staff,
yeah.
who did a remarkable job. Remember, we had to kind of retrofit. What are we going to do for a courtside club? How are we going to take care of our partners? What about suite owners? There weren't the same numbers. Like all those things, and everybody figured it out. And I think everybody kind of realized it's not going to be exactly the same. And then Liberty's right, doing the old school $10 tickets, 10,000 $10 tickets. Without having the Dome, we'd never be able to do that. And so that was really, really that's a great memory. It was really fun.
I was there, and it will go down as one of my top Spurs memories as well.
For sure.
Well, and we all hope that our team gives us another opportunity for you to experience the championship as a staff person. That would
And
be
we know
amazing.
that will happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we know that this city absolutely loves our Spurs, of course. I mean, all you have to do is there's a mural on every street corner, it feels like sometimes. And the team has taught us the phrase, let's go honking. Now we use it for all sorts of things. Right? If anything good happens, let's go honking. And that's really, I think, so sad. As we say, puro San Antonio, it's so terrific. And I can't imagine any other city adoring its team quite the way we do. But, we talk about the power of sport. And as we say at San Antonio Sports, our mission is to transform our community through the power of sport. You guys are actually doing that. But individually, what does the power of sport mean to you?
Do you want to go first?
Well, yeah, for me, it's connection. In a single word, as a former athlete, I grew up in a row home in South Philadelphia. I lived at the PAL Center, Police Athletic League, from the time I was 8 years old, and I turned out at 19. But I lasted that whole time. I'd go there to do my homework after school. Both my parents worked every day because if you finished your homework, you got to play basketball and floor hockey and baseball and everything you could play in there. And so I was a PAL kid from the time I was 8 years old. But it taught me, again, and then I, got into team sports at high school, college level. But knowing as an athlete what team sports mean, in terms of overcoming adversity, the teamwork, everything that you're never, ever, no matter how good you are as a single contributor, you're never going to win without a team performing. And again, the Spurs are such a great example of it. But knowing sport, like I probably learned more from some of the hard losses I had in high school and college than the wins. Like the wins were great and you play to win, but the losses probably taught me a great deal more about my teammates, myself, and then others who support you as an athlete. And so again, I wouldn't be sitting where I am in life without sports.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. How about you,
Good
Libby?
answer. Mine's I definitely the unity, but I think for me, just a little bit more about inclusion and access. I grew up in San Antonio, went to Wilson Elementary, Whittier Middle School, Edison High School, and I had a different experience where I wanted to play sports and we couldn't afford sports, and you don't realize the barriers that your financial situation, your family's economic situation can place on children. From things like, I remember wanting to join a sport in middle school and they said you needed $25 to buy a shirt. And we did not have $25 to buy a shirt. So I really love what SSNE does in terms of inclusion and giving kids all over the community access, because there's so many kids like me who would have never had a chance to play sports and had the heart and desire for it. And when you go out there and you watch them in these community centers and being a part of our leagues and our sports camps, and you see them, and we give out scholarships to these programs. Like, it is amazing to see the heart and joy, and they come and they're just like everyone else in that moment, and they have so much fun. And I see it, and I loved PE. I had so much fun in PE, but in PE for me, that was that moment of being able to be a team player, being able to see what you can do as a group to bring winning and success to an organization. But I really just love the heart that SSNE has to bring access and inclusion to all kids in the community. And I would have loved opportunities like that as a child and as a product of San Antonio. So, and I love what SAISD did to me, and I'm really proud to be a part of that group. But just to see what organizations and how much our community has advanced makes me really proud.
Yeah.
Beautiful answer.
I think so too. And honestly, that's one of the things I'm most proud about being associated with San Antonio Sports is the opportunities and the programming it provides for children in underserved neighborhoods. And it's pretty special. It's another reason we get up and support that organization every day. Well, Liberty, Frank, thank you very much for being a part of our podcast to celebrate San Antonio Sports' 40th anniversary. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. And until next time, game on.